welcome to the deep dive. So, yesterday, something pretty huge landed.
Yeah, big news.
We're diving deep into the Grok 4 launch. If you caught the live stream, you know what I mean? It felt less like a normal keynote.
Oh, definitely.
And more like some kind of physics experiment happening right there on stage. Really flexing.
Right. No fancy demos, no big orchestra swells.
Exactly. Just Elon Musk and the XAI team. Basically flashing slide after slide, letting the raw numbers speak for themselves.
Which they certainly did.
So our mission today is to really unpack what makes this Grok 4 release so special. We're focusing on that hard data, the stuff that's making people everywhere rethink their product roadmaps.
And it really is more than just raw speed or scale this time around.
Right.
What Grok 4 has managed to do is not only push the frontier of, let's say, practical intelligence, but, and this is crucial, it's punched a completely new hole in the cost curve.
That's a big deal.
It is. So as we walk through this today, we really want you, the listener, to think about the implications for your own work, your business, why these advancements actually matter to you.
Okay, so let's trace this transformation a bit. Grok 2, if we're honest. It started out pretty modest, right? A next token predictor, good for trivia, summarizing articles maybe.
Not like a helpful intern.
Exactly. You felt like you were talking to an intern. Then Grok 3 came along, new GPUs, and it got, well, roughly on par with early GPT-4 versions.
Especially on coding, it showed real promise there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But the leap from Grok 3 to 4, what happened? What enabled that huge jump?
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting. So for Grok 4, get this, 2/3 of its entire training budget.
2/3.
Two-thirds. Dedicated now to reinforcement learning. And this isn't just throwing more compute at the problem, it's a philosophical shift.
Okay.
It's really about reasoning, not just raw scale being the true engine behind it.
Right.
And you saw that in their presentation too. Remember how they removed the axis labels from the charts?
Yeah. That was striking.
They forced you to focus on the proportion of improvement, not just abstract FLOP counts, floating point operations per second.
Which is the usual benchmark everyone quotes.
Exactly. So they highlighted this generational shift, moving away from pure memorization towards, well, actual deliberation, thinking.
And okay, let's bring it back to the listener. Why should you care about this internal stuff, this training shift?
Well, because it fundamentally changes what the AI prioritizes.
How so?
It means Grok 4 isn't just trying to, guess the next word in a sentence. It's learning to think, to plan. And that focus shift dramatically impacts what it can actually do for you, the user. Capabilities just weren't there before.
Right. Okay, so here's where the rubber really meets the road.
Yeah.
XAI introduced this thing, Humanity's Last Exam. HLE for short.
Yeah, brutal name.
Brutal name, brutal test. It's like a capstone challenge. Imagine 2,500 questions over 100 subjects.
And we're talking diverse stuff.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Doctoral biology, thermochemistry, medieval theology, stochastic calculus.
Yeah.
Just all over the map.
Yeah.
And it demands crisp, final answers. Zero-shot performance is the only metric.
Meaning no hints, no prior examples for those specific questions.
Exactly. No partial credit. Just a punishing stress test.
And the results. Grok 4's scores on HLE were pretty eye-opening.
Cullis?
Without any tools, just the model itself, 25%.
Okay, not bad given the difficulty.
But then, when they let it use external tools, it jumped to 39%. Impressive surge.
Wow, okay. That's significant.
And then in what they called heavy-on mode, which presumably means more inference time or something,
right,
it hit 44%.
44, that's getting close to human grad student level, isn't it?
It's putting it within sight of average human grad student performance, something, frankly, few people predicted would happen this soon.
And it really shows something fundamental, doesn't it, about tool use?
Absolutely. It proves that a truly intelligent AI isn't just a giant knowledge base. It's a strategic problem solver. It knows when to reach for a Python sandbox or a unit converter or a retrieval engine.
It knows how to use its resources.
Exactly, to tackle complex, unknown problems. That's a huge shift for how we think about designing AI workflows.
So that's Grok 4 handling the, theoretical impossible exam. But what about the daily grind? What developers actually do day to day?
Right, because XAI didn't stop there. They also push it through 5 core benchmarks. Practical stuff.
Okay, what were they?
GPQA for grad level physics, AME25, and HMMT25 for advanced math problems.
Tough stuff.
LCB for live coding challenges, and USAMO 25, which is like Olympiad level math.
Yeah, I'm the headline there.
No other model currently sweeps all 5 of those benchmarks. Grok 4 does.
Okay, that's a statement.
And that 79% score on the live coding benchmark, LCB, that's particularly telling.
Why that?
Because it crosses that 75% threshold that many engineering teams set as a bar before they'd even think about letting an AI agent try to patch production code.
Ah, okay. So it's reaching a level of practical trust.
It seems so. And the pattern holds. If a benchmark involves multi-step deduction reasoning rather than just spitting back facts, Grok 4 tends to edge ahead.
Interesting.
And these results, taken together, give us some really powerful cross-benchmark insights.
Like what?
Well, first, Grok 4 seems to gain way more from having tool access than its competitors do.
So it's better at using the tools.
It suggests it has better internal logic about when to use a tool, not just how. Like a better cost-benefit analysis built in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Anything else? And the heavy mode scaling is interesting, too. It seems to scale uniquely well for Grok 4. Other models often hit diminishing returns when you give them more thinking time.
But Grok 4 keeps improving more significantly.
Right. Which, again, raises an important question for you, the listener. If you have those really complex multi-step problems, an AI that truly plans and strategizes like this, that could be a complete game changer for you.
Okay, so the intelligence is clearly there. It's strong. But for any business, intelligence comes with a price tag.
Always. Cloud bills are real.
So how does Grok 4 stack up on cost? XAI introduced this metric, ARC-AGI.
Yeah, RCAGI. It maps the model's score, its accuracy, against the cost per task.
And where does Grok 4 land?
Right in the sweet spot, apparently. Highest accuracy on the chart without shooting way off to the right on the cost axis.
So top performance without breaking the bank, essentially.
That seems to be the message. And for your bottom line, this isn't just abstract savings.
Right. Translate that.
It means deploying Grok 4 should lead to fewer errors, fewer retries, lower overall GPU minutes used,
Which means
faster responses for your customers, and very visible savings for your finance department. Your CFO will like that.
always a plus.
It's really about making this kind of sophisticated AI economically viable for more businesses, more use cases that maybe couldn't afford it before.
Democratizing advanced AI, in a way.
Kinda, yeah. It lowers the barrier.
They even had that quirky test, the Vending-Bench.
Ah, yeah, the Vending-Bench.
Running a virtual vending machine for 300 simulated days to see who makes the most profit. It sounds almost charmingly simple for such a powerful AI.
It does sound simple, maybe even trivial, selling snacks. But think about all the variables baked into that simulation. Wholesale discounts, spoilage rates.
Nobody wants a stale candy bar.
Exactly. Shifting consumer tastes, weekly foot traffic spikes. Every little decision compounds.
So it's actually quite complex optimization.
Very complex. And Grok 4 didn't just win, it apparently doubled the profit of the next best AI and sold triple the units compared to human MBA cohorts they tested against.
Triple the humans.
Right.
That's impressive.
It suggests its internal planner is really good at exploiting things like early buy discounts, timing price drops just right before inventory goes bad, managing cash flow by throttling reorders.
So it's optimizing dynamically in a messy, simulated, real-world scenario.
Precisely, not just crunching static numbers.
Yeah.
Which hammers home the point, if Grok 4 can optimize soda prices that well.
Imagine what it can do with your cloud capacity planning or your ad bids.
Exactly. Much more complex, high-stakes optimization problem.
Okay, sold on the capability.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for my wallet? How do I actually get access, and what does it cost?
Right, the practicalities. XAI laid out clear Super Grok pricing plans.
Okay.
The core Grok 4 model, the one we've mostly been talking about, is $30 a month.
$30. That seems very competitive.
It is. That includes a 128K token context window, which is pretty generous. Good for daily research, coding assistance, brainstorming, that kind of thing.
And for heavier tasks.
For the really deep inference stuff, mathematical proofs, complex financial models, mission-critical analytics, there's Super Grok heavy. That one's $300 a month.
Okay, a significant jump, but presumably for significantly more power or reliability.
That's the idea. And there's an optional live search feature if you need it to pull in real-time web data. That's $25 per 1,000 queries.
But you could avoid that cost sometimes.
Yeah, if you can embed fresh data directly into your prompts, you might not need live search as often, keeping that bill down.
And anything for developers to note?
Yeah, they highlighted its simplicity. Apparently, it refuses obsolete parameters. You just give it your message as your prompt, and the engine figures out the right inference depth on its own. Less tweaking for you.
That's nice. So let's talk ROI. Give me some concrete examples.
Okay. Say you're a freelance educator writing tech tutorials every day. That $30 for SuperGrok, it's probably a rounding error compared to the time you save.
Makes sense.
Or a quant desk, trading derivatives.
Okay.
One bad price calculation can cost thousands, right?
Easel.
So $300 a month for SuperGrok Heavy, that starts to look like pretty cheap insurance against errors.
Good point. What about academia?
A university theorem proving group, maybe doing 1,000 proofs a term. If they use live search, say, 50 times per proof, that adds about $1,250 to their monthly tier cost. You have to weigh the value against the cost.
Right. It's about the value it provides, not just the sticker price.
Exactly.
Now, user experience. Voice is becoming huge. How does Grok 4 handle voice interaction?
Big improvements there. They said Grok 4 cuts end-to-end latency by 50%.
50%. So much faster responses.
Yeah. Your spoken answer gets back to you while the question is basically still fresh in your mind. Much more natural conversation flow.
And they mention different voices.
Right. 5 distinct voices using style transfer. You've got like clear corporate, relaxed storyteller, energetic coach, a neutral explainer, and even a subtle mentor style.
Options for different applications.
And that latency cut, it's really important. It makes the chat partner feel more alive, more responsive, less like talking to a machine.
Yeah, that lag can be really off-putting.
Definitely. And there's a big privacy angle, too.
Oh.
The audio synthesis apparently happens on secure clusters, and the audio itself is never stored.
So no recordings lingering around.
Yep, which is huge for compliance teams, especially in finance or healthcare, where regulations around storing voice data are super strict.
That removes a major adoption hurdle for those industries.
For sure.
Okay, let's take a quick peek under the hood. You mentioned the architecture. They talked about sparse attention blocks. What are those, basically?
Think of it like this. For really long documents or chat histories, instead of the AI painstakingly reading every single word with the same focus,
Which is computationally expensive.
very.
Yeah.
Sparse attention lets it intelligently focus only on the most relevant parts. It's like speed reading a huge text, but still catching all the key details. Much faster, much cheaper for long prompts.
Got it. And low-rank adapters.
Those are cool. They're like specialized knowledge modules you can plug in.
Okay.
So if Grok recognizes it's dealing with, say, a legal contract or a complex chemistry problem, it can instantly snap in its specialized legal or chemistry knowledge module.
Oh, so it becomes a temporary hyper-specialist.
Exactly, instead of trying to be a generalist all the time. And they mentioned dynamic search depth, too.
What'd that do?
Basically, the planner tries to solve things internally first. If its confidence is low, then it decides to make external tool calls. Helps keep costs predictable.
Smart. And inline tool verification.
One last check. Before it gives you the final answer, especially if calculations were involved, it quickly reruns them in a safe Python sandbox just to catch any potential errors or mismatches.
Like double-checking its own work.
Pretty much.
So for a developer listening to this, what's the main takeaway from all that architecture talk?
The big thing is probably less manual work for you.
How so?
You likely won't need as much explicit function calling scaffolding in your code. You can write more natural prompts, and the engine is smart enough to figure out when and how to trigger tool calls on its own.
So a smoother, more intuitive workflow.
That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes development faster.
Okay, that leads us nicely into their roadmap, which looks ambitious, stretching all the way to video generation.
Very ambitious. And
Okay.
the timeline is incredibly fast.
What are the key dates?
August 2025. So just next month, they're promising a dedicated coding model. Lower latency, smarter analysis, supposedly cutting false positive lint warnings in half.
Big deal for developers if true.
Then September 2025. A multimodal agent.
Meaning it handles different types of input.
Right. The example they gave was feeding it an image of a circuit board, a CSV file with sensor logs, and a text question.
And it outputs.
An annotated diagram explaining the issue, combining vision, data, and text understanding.
That's powerful. And then October 2025, a video generation model. Text to video.
Okay, that's the frontier right now.
Yeah. Input text like, show a swirling aurora with overlay text explaining diffusion models, and it generates a 15-second clip, maybe ready for social media or presentations.
What's striking about that timeline,
It's the speed, right?
it's the velocity. Look at the thin monthly columns on their slide. They're implying going from idea to finished media asset within a single quarter.
It's incredibly aggressive. Whether they hit those exact dates remains to be seen, but the intent is clear.
So let's try to synthesize this. If you're a manager listening, How do you decide between Grok 4 and the other big players, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini? Yeah, that's the key question. Based on what XAI presented and the benchmarks, it gives you a practical checklist.
Okay, break it down.
Reasoning depth. Grok 4 seems best in class right now.
Right. Long context window.
Claude still leads there with its 200K tokens. Grok 4's 128K is great, but Claude has the edge for massive document ingestion, like for legal or marketing use cases.
Coding accuracy.
Grok 4 hits that impressive 79% on LCB. Very strong.
Voice latency.
Grok 4 claims 2x faster responses. Big win for conversational AI.
Cost per token.
Grok 4 looks similar to established mid-range models like GPT 3.5 Turbo or maybe Claude 3 Sonnet. Competitive.
Tool auto-routing. That ability to call tools automatically.
Grok 4 seems the quickest or most seamless there, based on their claim.
And proof strength for really rigorous tasks.
Grok 4 Heavy seems to top the charts for things like mathematical proofs.
So the choice depends on your priority.
Exactly. If you need the absolute deepest reasoning or the strongest proofs, Grok 4, especially Heavy, looks like the leader. If you absolutely need the biggest context window today, Claude might still be your pick. If you want perhaps the widest general knowledge, maybe Gemini.
But for a balance of strong reasoning, good context, coding, and cost.
For that balanced performance across many tasks, Grok 4 seems to be making a very strong case right now.
We should also touch on the chemistry question briefly. That came up during the launch Q&A.
Right. The fact it cleared 60% of advanced chemistry prompts.
Which implies it can figure out how to synthesize complex, potentially dangerous compounds. Dual use risk.
Definitely a concern. XAI addressed it, saying they're putting measures in place, rate limits on those kinds of synthesis queries,
Okay.
watermarking suspicious outputs, working with regulators on export control.
So they're aware and taking steps.
It seems so. They emphasize focusing on safe deployment, which is crucial.
Good. And you mentioned speed testing.
Yeah, independent labs apparently already verified some of the speed claims. Average response time around 10.2 seconds for common tasks, faster than key competitors in those tests.
And cache tokens. How does that help the wallet?
Right, cached prompt tokens. If your app constantly sends the same preamble, like a long style guide or system prompt,
Yeah.
you only pay the token cost for that preamble once, not every single time you make a request.
So for workflows with long repeating prompts.
It could reduce your effective token cost by maybe 20% or more, depending on the use case. Nice little saving.
And are we seeing this used in the wild already? Any specific industry examples?
Yeah, they gave a few snapshots. Pharma R&D, apparently researchers are feeding assay data into Grok Heavy, and it's spotting conflicting biological pathways much faster than humans could.
Okay, speeding up research.
Financial forecasting quants mixing real-time data feeds using ARC-AGI.
Retrieval augmented generation.
Right, mixing that with Grok's code execution to get tighter error bars on their forecasts.
Interesting. Education.
Universities piloting the multimodal agent to grade lab reports, giving feedback on both the written text and any included images or diagrams simultaneously.
That could save instructors a lot of time.
And robotics. The upcoming coding model is expected to help rewrite ROS nodes' robot operating system code very quickly, freeing up engineers.
So diverse applications, but the common thread seems to be
Accurate reasoning, often involving multiple steps or tools, at a repeatable, predictable cost. That's really Grok 4's claimed sweet spot.
Okay, so let's try to wrap up this deep dive. The core message seems to be Grok 4 isn't winning just by having the most parameters or the biggest model size.
No, it's not about raw bragging rights that way.
It wins by being smarter about how it works. Deciding when to slow down, when to plan, when to reach out and grab the right tool for the job.
Exactly. That decisiveness, that strategic approach is what showed up in humanity's last exam, the core benchmarks, even the Vending-Bench.
It knows how to solve the problem, not just what the answer might be.
Well put.
Yeah.
And that leads to maybe a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay, leave us with something.
Grok 4 seems to bump the ceiling of AI capability high enough that, for many problems, the next question isn't, is this feasible anymore?
Right. The question becomes
Execution. How do we use this? It means the bottleneck might no longer be the AI model itself.
the bottleneck is.
The human, waiting to ask the next, more insightful, more ambitious question.
Wow. That flips the script a bit.
It suggests the tools are getting incredibly powerful. Now the challenge is on us to use them effectively.
A new era. Genuinely feels like it.
Yeah.
So the message is, go explore it. Grab the SDK, test out your workflows.
Absolutely. See how it performs on your problems.
Welcome everyone to the post-Grok 4 era. Let's go build something worthy of it.